Ethan, take the mask off.
No.
Hey everyone, I'm John.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Jonathan.
And today we're going to lead you on a discussion through all the new Star Wars news that's been out recently. So, first of all, we're just going to run through a list of known actors that are confirmed for the next Star Wars movie. So we have all the original cast, meaning Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, plus a new cast of relatively unknown actors. List being John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, Oscar Isaac, Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis is the motion capture and the voice actor for Gollum, so he'll most likely be playing a creature of some sort. Funny name. Domhnall Gleeson, Lupita Nyong'o with her work from 12 Years a Slave, Gwendolyn Christie from her work on Game of Thrones, and Max von Sydow, who I'm not very familiar with. John, what do you think of the cast?
Well, the only names I recognize here are Andy Serkis, Lupita Nyong'o, and Gwendolyn Christie. And I think the most intriguing pick here is Lupita Nyong'o, because she seems very much like an up-and-coming, talented actress. Some people have mixed opinions about her. I didn't watch 12 Years a Slave.
It was really good, but she really didn't do. There wasn't a lot that I don't think really required. When the emotion was there, she did a really good job of it, but I didn't think it was that big a part of her character.
So she doesn't impress you as an actress?
Not too much. I mean, I could see many women playing her role.
Whether she impresses you or you like her or not, she is a very up-and-coming new talent.
I think that's mainly just because of how she's using, her race to kind of like push her acting talent.
For that one movie, yeah, it's her big breakout. Now, I'm intrigued as to what she'll play in this movie, because I know, whether you like her or not, she does have some potential to do something good here. Mm. What would you see her as playing in this?
I did hear rumors that unfortunately were shot down that Lupita Nyong'o was going to play Asajj Ventress, who, if you saw the Clone Wars show on Cartoon Network, was kind of like an assassin bounty hunter type. But unfortunately, those rumors have shot down. Jonathan?
I could possibly see her as a descendant of Lando.
Okay. Like a daughter.
Like a daughter or something. I think that she would play that would be a very interesting thing. I think it's way too early to see what she's playing.
Yeah, right.
I think we're going to have to wait to see some set photos for that.
Right.
But I think anything's in the air right now.
I think that her as a descendant of Lando, though, wouldn't really be good for her career, because then it'd only be more putting her into roles that are because of her race, because Lando's already the token black person in
You're right,
in
yeah.
Star Wars, and then only to group her in with that, and coming from 12 Years a Slave.
Right.
Right. I mean, you have to put her in a much more imaginative and, to be frank, a much better role than just that.
Well, I don't really think race matters at all, because I think that she is a talented actress, regardless.
But the role, because Lando's already the token minority in that movie, so her as a relation to him would be only more putting her in roles that just emphasize her race, and not her acting talent.
Right. And Jonathan, I know you mentioned we won't really know who these people are or their roles until we see set photos, and I actually have a set photo here, and we'll be putting one on the screen of a prop which has remarkable similarity to the Millennium Falcon. Now, you can see that here and here, this was from Star Wars Episode IV, A New Hope. Right. And you can see the striking resemblance between the two.
That's totally...
Now,
John?
J.J. Abrams has explicitly denied that the Falcon is going to be in the movie, which, this looks a lot like the Falcon, and there have been continuous rumors that, they're building a full one-to-one scale Millennium Falcon.
Now, maybe it's not the Millennium Falcon, but considering the fact, I think, do we hear rumors of Han Solo?
There were rumors of Han Solo... Twins?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, or some offspring of
Han Solo.
Han Solo. So I could definitely see them building something that kind of resembled the original Star Wars thing.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like a loophole in his words when he said, the Millennium Falcon is in the movie, just, his son made another one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
Mark II, perhaps?
Yeah, I can imagine, like, the Millennium Falcon V2. It's not the original Millennium Falcon, but it's another type of ship that, I don't know, like you said, a son of Han Solo would have. And I don't know if Chewbacca would have died or not, but Peter Mayhew is returning as Chewbacca. So maybe it's another distant.
Sorry, that was horrible.
That's signature.
That's quality, K for quality. So I don't know if it's gonna be like a relative of Chewbacca or the Chewbacca, but some form of what type of race is Chewbacca again?
A Wookiee.
A Wookiee, that's right. Some sort of Wookiee is coming back, being played by Kenny Baker. Now I have another report here that the seventh Star Wars film that J.J. Abrams said that it was going to be returning to its original space western roots.
And he quoted, "The beauty of the original film was that it was an unfamiliar world," Abrams said, "and yet you wanted to see it expand and to see where it went."
Jonathan?
I think we're returning to Tatooine.
I believe we are,
Yeah,
because
so
there
right.
were set photos of Tunisia, which is very deserty, and I believe that's where they filmed.
You know, we later in here we have they are building a Tatooine.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much confirmed, you could say, that we will be returning to Tatooine or seeing some Tatooine in the film at one point. But what do you think of the space western roots?
I mean, I really never looked at it as a space western.
Neither did I.
I just thought of it as a really good sci-fi flick.
When I think of space western, I think Jonah Hex.
I think Firefly.
Okay.
That's what I think
Firefly is a much better example than Jonah Hex.
It is a space western. They're riding horses and spaceships and silver revolvers, and
Right.
it was a really cool steampunk.
I think
film.
what he means by space western is less of less eye candy, cool CGI, and more focusing on the plot and gritty and the characters and stuff.
Wasn't there like I think that there was a model, or wasn't there a practical model that was leaked? I could have sworn I
Of what?
Of
heard
what?
about. I think it was a certain alien or something like that with like a merchant.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. J.J. Abrams did a campaign for a charity, I believe. It was called For the Troops, to send things to our troops, U.S. troops. And he filmed it on set, and you could see in the background the set, and at one point, like specifically, an alien comes out behind him.
Right.
And it's in full costume and everything, and he does have like a little merchant look where he's carrying things on his back.
I saw this video.
You saw this.
I would really like to see that
Yeah.
in the new Star Wars.
I can definitely see it taking more with the practical effects rather than CGI. I think that's what they mean by gritty, kind of, more of the original thing rather than the prequels, which were more focused on, cool CGI, eye candy type
Right. I do have a very, I don't want to say limited knowledge of Star Wars, but it's not up to date.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You said, speaking of gritty, Samuel L. Jackson is desperate to be in Star Wars number 7.
Oh my gosh, what is he gonna do?
Let me reach the quote. Samuel L. Jackson saying, it's like, okay, Obi-Wan was dead when Episode 4 started, so maybe everyone thinks I'm dead, and we'll find out what happened to Mace Windu. I can come back as a one-armed or a one-handed Jedi that's still around that didn't actually die.
Yes, alright, so to make this clear, in Episode 3, we do see him fly off the skyscraper off into the abyss of
the
Metropolis.
I believe he was fighting with Mace Windu.
No, Mace Windu?
Mace Windu is...
He was fighting with the
Emperor.
The Emperor.
Palpatine.
Senator Palpatine.
Right.
And he went on to say, I could do that or be a ghost hologram. I don't care. I just want to stay associated with the franchise.
Right.
I just always loved it. I always loved the idea of it, that there's this whole civilization out there somewhere else that's just as much fun and different as diverse and wild as we are. So he's definitely has a desire to be in this movie. And
I think that what I haven't heard any news about is who is going to be the villain? What is going to be the main antagonist of this movie?
Well, until it was debunked, I thought Asajj Ventress, who could have been played by Lupita Nyong'o, would have been a great villain because of her bounty hunter and assassin kind of status.
Right.
But other than that, I don't know about a villain who, in the Star Wars universe, would be a good candidate for the Star Wars 7. John, what do you think about an antagonist for Star Wars 7?
I don't know. I don't think we really have any way of knowing what that could be.
You know what I honestly think? I think they're going to pull some stuff from the Clone Wars. Because as far as I know, I think that expands the universe more than the films do.
I mean, it is, I think, what the Clone Wars was was really just an in-between episodes kind of thing.
Right. I think that there's something, especially I think the last few episodes in that series where I think they were really popular with Yoda and it looked like he was on a Sith world or something like that.
I did not know.
But basically there were, I think there were the spirits of the original Sith Lords in that general thing. I think that would be a very interesting thing to incorporate, more like an ancient evil kind of thing.
Okay.
Coming back, because the Force is energy. So
right. It's the what is the Force?
It's I think it's
an energy.
It's an energy. It's like you have to keep it balanced.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember midi-chlorians.
Actually, something I wanted to mention about midi-chlorians.
Yeah.
Midi-chlorians essentially aren't going to be a part of this movie because everyone who knows about midi-chlorians is going to be dead at this point.
Can you explain?
Well, when Qui-Gon
Jinn
Jinn told Anakin about it, Anakin was the only one who knew about it, and he's supposedly dead at this point, right?
John?
Qui-Gon's dead.
Qui-Gon Jinn is dead.
He never told anyone about it. So
right, besides Anakin.
It's essentially not
Anakin
a concept
is dead.
Anakin is dead, so that means that all knowledge
I completely forgot about them. What are they?
They're kind of like the little things in your body that kind of give you, like, Jedi always have very high midi-chlorians.
Oh, I do remember that. That was like a general knowledge
Conductors, it was a general knowledge
That was
thing?
a general knowledge thing. That's how they were to test how powerful someone could be with the Force.
I read.
Now that you mentioned that it's a general thing, I think I remember it was seen in one of the episodes that they went to like some like very advanced library just to look up midichlorians, and I think they found some information. So I'm thinking that it is more of a general knowledge thing.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Kind of jumping from that, John Williams is going to score the film.
I think that's a good thing. We've
Yeah.
been constantly getting news that this is gonna, be not a whole new school thing. It's gonna try to be a good sequel to Return of the Jedi. It's gonna be taking it back to its roots. We have the original cast returning. The Falcon may be in it.
Right, and John Williams did score
The original trilogy.
the original trilogy, and I believe he scored the Indiana Jones
He
movies.
did. Yeah.
Right.
I'd love to see him return. I think that would be a really good thing.
Just the work he did, really.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it's gonna make all this. Along with that, it sounds like this movie is gonna make a lot of sense as a sequel.
Yeah. Just kind of returning from what we already know to what's updated.
Yeah.
It just sounds really good.
Now, this might sound strange, but I would really like to see Hans Zimmer direct the score for this. I think it could be very interesting.
Hans Zimmer could do the score for any movie and be good at it.
Yeah, but I mean, you really have to have the mastery of John Williams to really do a good Star Wars score.
I mean, I'd rather have
Right.
John Williams than Hans Zimmer for this.
Exactly, of course. Of course, that's who you'd want.
I mean, John Williams is to what it's John Williams to George Lucas as Hans Zimmer is to Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
I would think is that they have that kind of connection to each other.
Yeah, that's definitely a good analogy.
Right. And going from that, a source says that Star Wars Episode VII is going to be taking place in.
The director
Yeah.
and the studio are going to build a recreation of Tatooine, which
Right.
you mentioned earlier, and that's just a rumor at this point. And but that's
it's going to be in Tunisia, which is very deserty.
Wow. I
That's
just realized that comes out next year. Star Wars. We're gonna have Star Wars 7 next
in
year.
December 2015. Yes.
So it's,
December.
December 18th, 2015.
I believe something like that.
That's
yeah.
really strange. I would expect this to be more of a summer kind of thing. But hey, Christmas is a great time.
I could see it getting pushed forward though to summer 2016.
Really?
I could see it happening.
Speaking of things being pushed, this has nothing to do with Star Wars Episode 7.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
What?
Arkham Knight was pushed for 2015.
Okay.
When it was originally
This fall.
this fall.
Oh wow.
So a lot of hype around that, but that's for another day. That's not our discussion.
I'm excited about Tatooine though. That if that is something that's happening,
Right.
I'd be very happy about.
I
that.
remember seeing the original movie for like the first time and seeing Tatooine, and it's just this big, bustling like desert city with all these like kind of classes of aliens and people,
Yeah.
and that's where we see little Anakin for the first time.
And we have the cantina bar.
Yeah, the pod racing.
A great, yeah.
Pod racing.
Pod racing was so cool.
It's just another example of how expansive this universe is.
Right, you just have to build and build upon it, really. And then from Tunisia, R2D2 is going to be returning.
There's been a photo of that was shared by the studio,
Right.
by Lucasfilm.
In the picture, you see J.J. Abrams standing, I'm guessing, with the not cast and crew, but production team, I'm guessing.
And there's R2.
And there's R2. So it's confirmed that R2 will be returning in Episode 7.
Just one more example of this being, going back to what Star Wars really is.
Right, and I'm guessing that, we kept saying that actors are going to have their, children reprise their roles. Like a son, or the daughter of, who's the guy that lives on the cloud place?
Lando.
Like the daughter of Lando being Lupita Nyong'o, something like that. But I think this really should be the original R2-D2. Maybe he was just powered down for a long time.
He's been the one constant in all the movies, I think. Isn't he in all of them?
I believe so.
He is.
Him, C-3PO, and Chewbacca.
Just those lovable characters.
Right, that you really have to see. I don't know if they're just the comedic relief or something like that.
Right.
But it's good to see them returning.
Yeah.
And speaking of returning people, Lawrence Kasdan is going to write it.
Who wrote the script for Raiders of the Lost Ark and Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, right.
Don't you believe Empire Strikes Back to be the greatest sequel of all time?
No, I'm one of the few people who actually find it pretty disappointing.
Wow.
I've sat down and I've tried to get into it, but to me, I found that it was very cheesy. I really didn't like how Yoda was initially portrayed. I thought he was a Muppet, and
it was like 19.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. It does. No. It wasn't how he looked. It was his character. He was like, give me this back. No. It was like, it brought me out of the movie.
But you're happy about Lawrence Kasdan coming in for the script?
Oh yeah, like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And it just keeps coming back to bringing the old into the new to try to update it.
All right, now here's the thing. I really hope they don't play it safe and try to literally copy off the original Star Wars movies completely. What I think J.J. Abrams does a really good job of is he appeals to the fans of the original source material and also creates something new that everyone will enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's what I think what he did with Star Trek.
Yeah.
Especially with Into Darkness. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen it, but he did something really ballsy that combined both universes of the original and something new that he did, and I thought that it was better than the original thing that they were basing the material off of.
Okay.
And finally, we have a quote here from Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy, which I'm going to read for you now.
This addresses one of the hottest issues of the CGI.
Right, so this is addressing the CGI. Starting, it's a conversation we're having all the time in the development of Episode 7. Looking at all the Star Wars movies and getting a feel for what even some of the early films did, combining real locations and special effects. That's something we're looking very seriously at. So we're going to find some very cool locations that we're going to use in support of Episode 7. And I think we're probably going to end up using every single tool in the toolbox to create the look of these movies. So I also heard reports that they're filming in the UK.
That's where the studio is.
The studio of Lucasfilms is located in the UK.
Yeah.
So that's just a great idea, really, just to try to balance your practical effects and your CGI, because you really can't have too much of the other.
Yeah.
If you have too much CGI, you can seriously say, oh, it looks...
I think the prequels had way too much CGI.
Did you?
I thought it was a little overdone.
Okay. Well, I think the originals were a lot of practical effects, just.
I think a guy in a suit is always going to look better than a CGI alien.
Okay. Well,
It depends on how well it's done, because with the technology they have today, Gollum is completely CGI.
Right.
Yeah.
Andy Serkis is a great actor for Gollum, but really, I think it's just great that they're going to try to balance it out.
I'm happy with that for sure. Yeah.
Right.
Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
Of the CGI and practical effects.
I like the mix. I don't like it when they completely do CGI, because when you completely overdo CGI, it doesn't always look convincing.
They just try to make crazy eye candy, and it's like, no, I want a real story.
Right.
Don't just have crazy flying monsters and stuff.
Right. It's kind of like you're trying to focus on one thing, but there are too many things going on.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want to look at this cool alien, but there are so many cool aliens over here.
Ethan's problems.
And the story's happening at the same time, so you have to focus on that.
Yeah.
All right, now I think regardless of what you think about that George Lucas right now is just sitting on $2 billion of cash, crying his eyes out while eating a carton of ice cream.
Yes, just crying all the way to the bank. So, all in all, I really have a lot of faith in this movie. I think J.J. Abrams is a good director with a good track record of, Super 8 and Star Trek and Fringe.
Definitely.
And I think this is going to be really good. He's not rehashing what, the old movies, but still giving ode to them, and it's going to make sense in context with the original trilogy, I think. He's going to... I said you know too much, I'm sorry.
Nah, it's fine.
Okay. Should we just try to keep going?
Keep going.
Okay, just cut it out.
Okay.
And, I think it's going to be really good. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, we're sharing the same thoughts here. I'm just really pretty much mostly excited for the use of the mix of CGI and the practical effects because, like you said, man in a suit is much better than
the CGI.
Than the CGI. And that's really all I'm most excited for, John.
As we've said before, J.J. Abrams is a very talented director. I have complete faith in him that he has the potential to make the best Star Wars movie ever made. The potential.
Bold comments.
I think he does. I think overall he is a better director than George Lucas.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
So, I think that it's going to be a very fun time, regardless.
All right.
Yeah,
I think we'll all be wearing our Darth Vader masks and carrying our lightsabers into the
Fanboying,
theater in December
yes.
2015.
Yeah, December 18th, 2015. People, mark your calendars.
Save the date.
Yeah, save the date.
Alright, well, thank you all very much for watching. What are your thoughts on the new Star Wars movie? Do you think it'll be good? Do you think it'll suck?
Do you love me? Do you hate him?
People
How
love
are
me.
we? And let us know when we should discuss a review next in the comments as well. Alright, Stub Masters Review, Star Wars Episode VII, J.J. Abrams. I'm John.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Jonathan.
Have a great day.